Hello. Thank you so much for taking the time to join our webinar to learn more about the McDonald's franchise model. We're so grateful that you've taken the time to listen to us today. Before we start the presentation, I'm going to ask each of the presenters to introduce themselves and also talk about their areas of the agenda that they're going to cover with you today. So first of all, my name's Paul. I am a recruitment consultant for McDonald's. My role is to recruit and onboard new franchisees into our business. I'm going to start the presentation talking to you about the franchising sector, and then I'm going to jump on and cover a little bit of McDonald's history. And then I'm going to hand over to Clarissa.
Hi everyone, my name is Clarissa and I work on both the transactions and recruitment side of things on the franchising team here at McDonald's. Today I'll be discussing with you the restaurant model with McDonald's and the costs affiliated with owning a restaurant. And over to you, Amy.
Thank you, Clarissa. Hi, yes, Amy. So I work in the franchising team. I work very closely with Paul on the recruitment side. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about what it is we're looking for in a franchisee, the type of qualities that we're looking for. I'm then going to talk a little bit about our selection process and then finish off with some more information about our training program. So thank you. I'm now going to hand over to Paul.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the introductions. Before I start talking about franchising, I think that it's important that given the global pandemic that we find ourselves in and the impact that it's had on so many businesses, including McDonald's, I wanted to share with you the approach that we took to navigating the challenges that we faced and how we worked with our franchisees, suppliers, and our teams throughout the UK and Ireland. In quarter one, as the situation developed throughout the country, we quickly put in place a crisis group, including franchisee representation to provide leadership from the centre. This meant that when we made the difficult but right decision to close the UK and Ireland estate on Monday the 23rd of March, all areas of our business and crucially our franchisees were aligned and understood the reasons for doing so. As we worked through the closure stage, led by our steering group, we worked hard to ensure liquidity for our franchisees and suppliers as the government developed its package of financial support for the economy. Throughout this time of uncertainty, the steering group has continued to work very closely with franchisees as well as suppliers and company employees, providing clear guidance and support, helping them to understand the external support, navigating the furlough process, and clarifying government guidance around the safe reopening for our people and customers. The group has also been able to leverage the learnings from the McDonald's system around the world. During closure, our teams worked hard, scenario planning and sequencing of reopening, liaising with government to ensure that when we were able and when the country was ready, we'd begin to open our channels in a safe way for our teams and our customers. In early May, we spent a week testing our new safety measures in a closed restaurant to ensure that staff would be able to return to work in a safe environment. After engaging with government and with the full support of the system, we reopened 15 stores in early May. More drive-thrus followed a week later as we gauged the response from our people. And in early June, we reopened the majority of our drive-thrus, serving a limited menu and with restricted opening hours. We knew that our restaurants would look a little different to our customers, especially as our people became accustomed to new ways of working. So it's been great to see the positive response we've received so far. And as you've seen recently, we've continued to add additional capacity with more channels, breakfast, and extending our hours. At McDonald's, it's our nature to go faster, but we've had to learn and continue to adapt, and it's a really big change for us. COVID-19 has certainly provided a clear example of the risks involved in starting a business. And though we appreciate this could make some a little more cautious, we've actually seen interest spike as people are inspired to take control of their future. The situation shows perfectly the challenges and the benefits of franchising. We closed together and reopen together in a safe, controlled, and phased way. Leveraging the scale of our organisation, we work closely with government, formulated a safe and commercially viable reopening strategy. Importantly, we responded quickly and decisively in securing the enormous supplies of Perspex screens and PPE for our teams. From the centre, we were able to provide the blueprints to profitably and successfully reopen our restaurants safely. It's been a challenging time for all businesses, with each handling the situation in a different way. However, our main priority has and continues to be the safety of our people and our customers, which is the reason behind all the steps we took in dealing with the pandemic. For us in the franchising team, it's really reinforced the importance of doing your research and really getting to know each franchisor really well. So let's move on now to the main body of our presentation. And I'm going to start with an introduction to franchising. Buying a franchise is a considerable investment, so it's really worth getting to know the business that you'll be investing in. The British Franchise Association is a really good starting point. Their website has got lots of information on different franchise opportunities and affiliates who can help you, and they'll help you to understand ethical franchising as well. McDonald's has been a full member of the BFA for over 20 years. The BFA highlight these four critical elements. The brand is the franchisor's business. Typically, it's been built over a long period of time, and naturally, they're going to be very protective towards the brand and who they invite to represent it. The framework is the model and policy that you'll be accessing. The model provides one of the greatest advantages of a franchise system. It reduces the risk of business failure. Support is another of the reasons that franchising sector enjoys a considerably lower failure rate than individual business startups. Through the training that the franchisee receives, they climb a very steep learning curve in a very short period of time, thereby increasing their chances of succeeding. And finally, the franchise agreement, and this protects the network and binds it all together. Now I'd like us to turn our attention to McDonald's. And I'm going to start with a short history lesson. Back in the 50s, our founder, Ray Kroc, was a salesman, and he worked for a company selling these multi-mixers to restaurants in the California area. After repeated orders from one particular restaurant, being the curious type, Ray decided to visit the restaurant. There he met the McDonald brothers, Richard and Morris. He loved the restaurant, the simplicity of the menu, and the efficiency of the operation. He went into business with them as their franchise partner, and the following year opened his first restaurant in Des Plaines in Illinois, and the rest, as they say, is history. Within 10 years, McDonald's had sold its billionth hamburger. That growth was fueled by franchising. Here at McDonald's, we believe that franchising really is part of our DNA, and you can see a few examples on the screen. The fillet of fish, the drive-through concept, and the iconic Big Mac were all inspired by our franchisees. Today, McDonald's operates in over 100 countries around the world, from over 37,000 restaurants. And importantly, the majority of those restaurants are operated by our franchisees, the women and men who bring our global brand to life. So let's come back home now. Here in the UK and Ireland, our growth has been no less spectacular. McDonald's first arrived here in 1974, but we didn't franchise immediately. We wanted to establish ourselves and also to perfect our franchising model. We opened the first restaurant in Woolwich in southeast London. It's still open today and is operated by one of our franchisees, a guy called Tamor, who operates 6 restaurants. We began franchising in 1986, and the first restaurant that we franchised was in Hayes in Middlesex. The franchisee was John King. John is still very much part of our system today, and he operates 3 restaurants in West London. And I think that this is testament to the longevity of our brand and our franchising model. Now, you're far more likely to recognize the images on the screen than you would if I put some up of Woolwich. This is McDonald's in 2020, a modern, progressive burger company. Our global mobile app and digital kiosks are designed to enhance convenience and the experience of our customers. M2Go is a small footprint concept restaurant situated on Fleet Street in London, or one of our iconic two-story drive-thrus. Today, we operate over 1,400 restaurants and have almost 200 franchisees. But we're looking for new franchisees who are keen to operate one of the world's best-known brands. Okay, so now I'd like to hand over to Clarissa, who's going to talk to you a little bit more about our model.
Now that Paul has covered information on franchising and our history, in this section, I would like to cover with you what it is that you're buying into as a McDonald's franchisee and the estimated costs surrounding this. So when you become a new franchisee, you are likely to purchase an existing restaurant, which is already a going concern and immediately generating cash flow. So the cooking of those burgers and the frying of those fries is well underway. Generally, there are three ways to acquire a restaurant. The first way is through purchasing off the McDonald's company. We refer to this as a McCopco. The second way is through purchasing off an existing franchisee. We call this a sale between operators. And the third way is through purchasing a new store. However, in most instances, you'll be purchasing from the company or an existing franchisee. So because these restaurants are in established locations, it means you don't have to go out and find one. And that's why, in your application with us, we will ask you for your 3 location preferences and if you're relocatable. We try our best to work with your locality and how much you are able to invest and go from there. In this section, I'll be explaining how our franchising model works. Here at McDonald's, we request a 20-year commitment under our franchising agreement, because under our franchising model, you're essentially buying the right to operate a McDonald's restaurant for a full 20 years. We have a 40-year view on each store and its location, and it is for this reason we are careful with our business relationships and have a very thorough training program designed for our new franchisees. Because of this long-term commitment, we don't allow business partners. It is one franchisee that does the training, and that same franchisee then becomes the legal owner of the restaurant. Because of this large responsibility, we require you not to be invested in other areas of businesses. This means you can't own multiple franchises and businesses outside of your McDonald's restaurants. We want your full-time best efforts. After all, with 20 years in mind, all parties want to make this work. When it comes to the real estate, McDonald's essentially owns a priority interest. That's either through freehold or leasehold, and then we charge rent to you as a franchisee. That's just how our business model works. Real estate aside, everything else is owned by you and is your responsibility. So how I like to think of it is, McDonald's owns the bricks and mortar, and you own everything else. This includes the equipment, the staff, the food, access to our systems, right to use our methods, menus, intellectual property such as trademarks. You get access to our head office functions and support, and you also get access to our franchisee consultants. These people conduct store valuations, but they also operate like a business advisor. In this section, I'll be covering the costs affiliated with purchasing a McDonald's restaurant. The 3 figures on this slide will show you some rough estimates of the investments and returns affiliated with the right, license, and privilege to operate a McDonald's restaurant for a 20-year period. Here we have 3 different restaurants as examples. Their price range is between £400,000 to £900,000, because that's what a majority of our restaurants have been selling for over the last 2 to 3 years to new franchisees. The range in figures is diverse because we have different restaurants in many different locations and franchisees with different investment levels. For ease of reference, I'll use the middle restaurant to talk through as an example. It has a £600,000 purchase price. In addition to this purchase price is a £30,000 franchising fee. This franchising fee is not a foreign concept, and many other franchising companies are likely to charge a franchising fee. But in essence, our franchising fee will cover you for that full 20-year period. So with both our purchase price and franchising fee combined together, we will ask you to provide 25% of this total price in unencumbered funds. So in this instance, the total price is £630,000, and therefore you will need about £158,000 to contribute as your 25%. This purchases you the right to use the store for 20 years. The remaining 75% can be funded through a bank loan, and we have some fantastic partnerships with both HSBC and Barclays who assist our franchisees in these areas. Now, the last thing you may notice at the bottom of these examples is the ROI, the return on investment figures. Please note these figures are purely estimated annual cash flows based on projections averaged across a 10-year period. So in this example, the ROI would be estimated at about £126,000 to £158,000 cash flow per year. However, like any business, your ROI figures can change depending on how well you run your restaurant and other external factors affecting the market. So they're the types of initial one-off costs that cover you for your 20-year period. Then we also have ongoing monthly fees. There are 3 types of ongoing monthly fees to be aware of. These are rent, marketing, and our service fees. These calculations are based on your monthly net sales per restaurant after tax. So when it comes to the rent, as we're essentially your landlord, we will charge you rent on a monthly basis. This typically ranges from 12 to 21%. This is fixed for the 20-year term. So if you are set at 15% rent, it will be 15% rent for 20 years. The only time we can increase this is at the end of the 20 years. And even then, we can only increase it up to 3%. So over a 40-year term, you are looking at a potential 3% increase in rent. This does not necessarily mean it will go up after the 20 years. It depends on the individual circumstances. We also have a 5% marketing fee. We collect this on behalf of McDonald's Marketing Company, or what we refer to as McMarco. This is for the marketing of our national campaigns, which you may have seen around on digital platforms, TV, radio, and billboards. I bet many of you have either seen or heard our advertisements in your day-to-day lives, or at the very least be familiar with our signature jingle, ba-da-ba-ba-ba. So, this is all taken care of by McMarco. This implements consistency and to produce quality content so your business can benefit. And the last one is our service fee at 5%. It is essentially like royalties. This is so you can operate under our branding. So as you can see, there will always be costs affiliated with running a business, but I hope this gives you a good indication of what to expect when purchasing a restaurant as a new franchisee. Now I'll pass you on to Amy, who will discuss our candidate journey and our training program.
Thank you, Clarissa. As Paul mentioned earlier, we are recruitment consultants for McDonald's, and a big part of our job is finding suitable candidates to join our network and then supporting them through the selection process. So with that in mind, I'd like to talk through some of the qualities or transferable skills we are looking for in a potential franchisee. If you have the time to have a look at some of the videos on our website, you will meet some of our franchisees. Our franchisees come from a variety of backgrounds. You definitely don't need restaurant experience to be a McDonald's franchisee. What every one of our franchisees do have is business acumen and a passion for people. They are inspirational leaders who can build, manage, and motivate strong teams. Our franchisees own on average 6 restaurants per organization, which would give them a workforce of about 600 people, which makes them a huge employer in their local areas. Having people skills is critical, as you may have people working with you for their first job at the age of 16 or someone in their 60s. Our workforce is diverse, and it is the franchisee's responsibility to motivate, engage, and develop their teams to spot the future leaders for their business. We are looking for people who are customer obsessed. Our franchisees put the customer and their people at the forefront of their decision making. What we are looking for is what you have done to delight and engage your customers or employees in the business that you operate. Are you an early adopter? The type of person who wants to be the first to try new things? Take calculated risks with us. Be the first to go to market on new concepts or products. All our franchisees do an amazing job in their local communities, building relationships. We are a global brand with local relevance because of this. It is very important to us and our franchisees to give back to the communities we operate in. Our franchisees constantly invest in upgrading the customer and employee experience. Most recently, you will have seen in the restaurants the investment made into digital, because this is the way customers want to engage with us, and having this digital platform has been so important for us over the last few months. So if these are some of the types of qualities you feel you have, please let me share the selection process with you. If you like what you have heard, then we would ask you to visit our McDonald's franchising website and apply online. If your application is successful, you will be invited to a Skype call with either myself or Paul, or a face-to-face meeting once it is safe to do so. If both parties, us and you, feel we have a perfect match at this stage, we will invite you to attend a 5-day in-restaurant evaluation. This will give you great insight into the day-to-day operations of one of our restaurants. You will meet with one of our franchise consultants at the start and at the end of the 5 days. The business manager will support you throughout this part of the process. This is a key part of the selection process, as you really get to understand our culture and decide if this is something you can see yourself doing for the next 20 years. After your IRE, you will also get the opportunity to meet with some of our franchisees, and they are a great resource for you, especially as they were once in your shoes and they understand how you are feeling. Then there will be some interviews with our senior team, a great opportunity to ask questions and share what value you can add to the McDonald's system. Once successful at this stage, you will join our registered applicant training program. It is important to mention that it is at this stage of the process you would divest yourself of any other business interests or resign from your corporate career. We will work with your timelines here. Now I'm just going to talk a little bit more about the training program. We now offer a minimum 26-week process which combines 16 weeks of restaurant immersion to understand the culture of our business whilst training, followed by 10 weeks of handover, business setup, and shadowing the business manager. Not every candidate will get a 26-week program, only candidates with a high degree of learning orientation and relevant previous experience. The 9-month training program is still there, and we will tailor the length and pace of your training to suit your progress. Our exec team will decide who will complete this shortened training. The training will be completed at a restaurant within an hour of where you live. You will have numerous people supporting you during your training period, from a business manager of the restaurant, a franchise consultant, and a learning and development officer. Our training is truly world-class. I'd also like to share with you today our educational bursary. This is £22,500 if you do the 26-week program. You will receive £45,000 if you do the 9-month program. The bursary is there to help with the transition whilst training with us, and also ensures that there is no reason for you to eat into the equity that has been put aside to buy your first restaurant. We do not look to recoup this money at any stage. It is there to support you. Thank you very much, and I'm just going to hand over to Paul to close.
Thanks, Amy. We hope that we've given you plenty to think about today. If you have any questions, you can contact us using the email address that you can find on the franchising pages of our website. But if we've captured your interest and you're keen to continue the journey, then take a look at the application form, which is also on our website. Amy and I screen all applications through the lens of those attributes that she's just talked about. I started by emphasizing the importance of gaining a strong understanding of the sector, and importantly, really getting to know the brand with whom you choose to partner. It's important to understand whether they can match your expectations and aspirations for the future. I also talked about the British Franchise Association, with whom we've partnered for over 20 years. It really is a great resource, and it's a great starting point for your research. As well as providing learning resources, every day they recognise excellence. Every year they recognise excellence in franchising through their awards, which are sponsored by HSBC. We're very proud to have featured prominently over the last 4 years. In 2016, we won the Award for Innovation, which recognised the evolution that we've undertaken with our franchisees, enhancing the customer experience with the rollout of Experience of the Future. Then in 2017, we received their award for franchisee support, endorsing the way that we engage and support our network. 2018, we were the very proud recipients of the Franchisor of the Year. Fantastic recognition endorsing our model and the strong engagement that we have across our system. And last year, we shared the evolution of our culture and were delighted that the journey that we've been on together with our franchisees was recognised with the Award for Leadership and Culture. That wraps up our presentation, and I just want to say thank you very much for listening to us. Thank you to Amy, thank you to Clarissa. I really hope that we've given you all of the information that you need to continue your journey in franchising.